And thank you all for just sharing a little bit about yourselves. I love learning these tidbits about everyone. We're going to go ahead and dive in. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to walk you through just we made this plated page. Let me go ahead and share it while I'm talking about it. Okay, so we made this 2022 plated year in review page, and it just kind of shares a little recap about this past year, about 2022 in FoodSocial and our growth and everything. And throughout this call, we're going to kind of walk you through it and just share some updates with you and more about what's in store for this next year. So, all right, so we're going to start with a recap from 2022. What's really amazing about 2022 is that we almost doubled our creator community in that year. We more than doubled the recipes on our platform. I think we added around 1,200 recipes last year alone to FoodSocial. We've had over 100,000 healthy recipe consumers, as you can see on here, and 500,000 page views, which is just wild in considering where we started in 2022. Tony, can you speak to where those numbers were toward the beginning of the year versus where they ended up?
Well, I think if you scroll down, you may see the graph.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
There you go.
So yeah, we've seen fantastic growth each quarter. And we have expectations to continue that growth into 23. It's really a tribute to all of you that are on the call and all the creators out there that are sharing FoodSocial and the recipes, and that really is what gives FoodSocial life, and it's fantastic to see. So.
Agreed. I think the best thing about this past year for me, and I think we can all speak to this, is just the community that we've been growing and the heart that we've seen grow within FoodSocial. And that comes from all of you all showing up for these calls, chatting with us in Slack, just caring about the recipes that you're uploading, being part of this community, partaking in the collaborative series that we do. It's just been really special, and getting to know each of you as individuals has also been really special. Just chatting with you in DMs or emails or on Slack, getting to know what makes you tick and what's important to you, and seeing the way that we've all kind of supported each other. We were talking about this earlier this week, but what we've seen with FoodSocial, I think, so Mesa de Vida, this is a side note, Mesa de Vida is a new brand that just joined thanks to Penny from Penny's Primal. She brought them on for us. So huge congrats to Penny. So we were talking to Kirsten from Mesa de Vida, and she brought up what Penny had talked to her about how our community with FoodSocial is how social media used to be, the community we used to see on social media, but it's just gotten so far away from that because now we're all so, unfortunately, it's just content driven. It's all about videos and reels and this and that. And it's so much less about the people, and getting to get back to the meat of just being creators and what we do together, and seeing that we're all passionate about that has just been really special this past year. So thank you all for being part of that. Other updates from this past year has just been, this is our third town hall. So we had 2 town halls in 2022. We had 2 collaborative series that we did for creators and brands. And most recently we had our Thanksgiving collaborative series and our New Year's Eve collaborations that we saw. And it was just fun to see what people came up with together, and having new pairs of people work together and seeing what comes of that. Having our Slack community continue to grow has been great, because it's just a way to easily connect with you and for you all to connect with each other as well. And those are the big updates from 2022. Again, just seeing our community continue to grow throughout this past year has been the biggest gift, and seeing this turn into what we've envisioned, while also allowing us to fine tune that vision as we've seen you all step up and take part, has just been fantastic. So, all right. now we're going to move into the finalization of the creator equity plan. That was another big thing that arose from 2022. And we talked about that at the first town hall, where we kind of outlined the creator equity plan and the stock options. And now Tony is going to take it away and kind of talk about where we've gone with that.
Sure. I guess just going back on the last town hall and what we're doing at FoodSocial, and all of you taking your time just to be part of this call even tonight. We are doing something very different. And really, I think Pooja had mentioned on the last town hall that really FoodSocial is a creator-run platform, creator-run organization. And we are just beginning that right now. But as all of you go through your next year, and if you want more interest in doing more with FoodSocial, this is one way to incentivize all of you to make sure that, number one, you are going to have equity as being part of FoodSocial. But not only that, you can have more equity, and you could also contribute to the success beyond just being a featured creator, which is fantastic and all that is really necessary. But as we go forward, it's really about driving a creator run. I am not a creator, so I really love to eat everything all of you put out there on FoodSocial. But what I've seen in working with Bill and Haley over the years is, the fact that the creators really are all the intellectual property that everyone is using and basically taking advantage of in brands, actually even, not exploiting, but wanting to work with creators yet not knowing how to get there. And so FoodSocial is really allowing that ability where you, the creator, have a seat at the table at FoodSocial, and we can help drive the platform together. And ultimately, all of us can do really well and have a great time doing it and do good out there. So this equity proposal is something that we talked about in the fall, and we had some feedback, but I think our overall structure and framework was pretty much the same as what we're seeing right now. And so there are 3 different areas that you all can receive community points, is what it says, which is essentially equal to a stock option. If many of you are familiar with that, or maybe you've never heard of that before, I'll take a moment to say what that is. But there are three different ways, and one is just active membership. And all of you that have recipes, that we put some number on there because we basically had 20 recipes on the platform to be able to have somewhat of a substance. And this is something that the creators have come back and talked about and used as a reasonable gauge for that, for active membership, and then bringing on new recipes throughout the year. And again, the concept is just being active within FoodSocial and the recipe content there. And that will be 300 community points or stock options per year. So this is each year this will happen, not just a one-time thing. And then a second level is participation. And Bill used the term when we were talking earlier this week of, whether it's passive or active, and sometimes participation is a little bit more passive in this case, which is actually you right now being on the call is considered participation. And so for each one of those, everyone that is on this call or future calls will receive 50 points or community points or 50 options. And that'll go up to 300 per year as well. And then the last area is contribution, which is more active, if you want to think of active participation. And that's things such as creating posts for FoodSocial content or social media, and taking on additional responsibilities. Michelle, who's on the call, helped run the showcase, the recipe showcase. That's an example of additional contributions there, or Penny in referring brands and others that have referred creators. Those are all ways to contribute to to FoodSocial, and also to obtain additional either community points or stock options. And so that's the three areas. I'll pause for a second there and see if anyone has a question on that. This is something that we will continue to revise throughout the year through the input of all of you for next year. But this is what we've kind of landed on for right now for this year. Any questions?
I have a question. I don't know too much about stocks, so can you explain to us how many points equals one stock, or how does it work?
Yeah, that's perfect. That's what I was going to kind of go into and just do a very brief sort of overview on a stock option. So to answer your question, one community point is one option. So they're equivalent there. So it's for the active membership, it's 300 options per year. And what an option is the right to purchase stock. So it's the right to purchase stock of FoodSocial. And the beauty of a stock option is that nothing is required from you. You do not have to put any money out or anything like that. You will receive a digital piece of paper it'll be a one-pager that you sign, just saying, hey, here are the options, and I get them. You don't have to, if nothing ever happens in the future, they basically just go away. There's no financial commitment from you. It's only with the value of FoodSocial continue to increase. Then if something happens in the future in 10 years, we have this phenomenal social media platform and worth a whole lot of money, then you can always exercise that option and buy that at the purchase price at the time. In this case, it's $1. So that would be the purchase price for the share of FoodSocial stock. But again, there's no financial requirement to do anything. It's an option. It's just basically you have the right to do something sometime in the future at your choice. Does that make sense? Great. I've worked with stock options in technology companies for a very long time, and they're a great way they're often used for employees is really what they're used for. We're doing something very different here in this creator-run FoodSocial, and so I think that actually I'm not aware of this being done before, so I'm pretty excited to be part of this and see FoodSocial success and all of you benefit from the success as well.
So if we had 300 points, it would be $300 when the option came around to purchase that stock?
That would be the purchase. Yes, correct.
Okay.
But the way it typically would work, if something were to happen, oftentimes with, say, technology companies, maybe they're acquired in 10 years by and then you actually don't have to pay anything. It just gets taken out of the difference of what the value of the company is.
Okay.
But that is actually how it would be. It would be $1 per share or per option, which is equivalent to one share as well. I also am on Slack, and so the process that we'll go through, this is kind of the setup that we have right now. We've been tracking all the contributions and participations last year, and so all of you are going to get something probably next week along with your royalty reports that'll have the number of options. And so this will be the first grant. And so this grant will occur. One thing we had to do with a stock option is to have what's called a vesting period. You'll see that in there. And a vesting period is, okay, great. You've been given, 300 options, and they will vest over a 1-year period. What does that mean? In a sense, they'll say they'll be earned over 1 year. So after 1 year, they're fully earned, and they will always be earned, so that they'll be yours forever. And we kind of had to do that. I actually did not want to have any vesting at all, but to have the plan be compliant with certain things, that was something we did. And that'll happen each year. And so the idea is that each year, all of you creators will get more options and more ownership within FoodSocial. So the process will be you'll get some easy one page along with your royalty reports next week, but then there'll also be a link for the option. And with that, if you have any questions at all, I've dealt with stock options for many years, and I can help, because sometimes we try to make it as simple as possible. It's a one pager, but it does reference an overall plan, and there's more words behind it. So, if there are any questions or concerns, please let me know. For those of us that are not in the United States, I've done stock options internationally before, and there is no tax event that occurs right now, and that's very important. I'll actually say it again. So you're given a stock option. Sometimes people will think, oh gosh, is this a taxable event? Do I have to pay taxes on anything? And you do not. There is no taxable event. So and internationally, I've never had any issue. I haven't dealt with every country out there, but you shouldn't have any issues within Canada or don't we have someone in Europe? Was it
In Spain?
In Spain, that's right. Yes. So it should be fine there.
Any other questions for Tony?
And please Slack me if you have any questions, or just reach out on email or any way you'd like there. And I can answer anything. I'm very excited to kind of take this step here for all of you, and excited for hopefully what happens over the next few years.
And if you're comfortable sharing that question with everyone, we have the equity channel, because chances are if you have that question, someone else does too. So you can always ask it on that channel as well, and Tony can answer it there if you're comfortable with that. All right. Thank you, Tony. Let's move on to our 2023 roadmap. Bill, take it away.
Everyone. Yeah, so looking ahead to 2023, which we're already just about 2 weeks into, we had titled this section Roadmap and Goals. And the goal is actually very simple. It's growth. We're trying to grow number of creators on the platform, number of brands on the platform, and visits from the end user too. And so a lot of the roadmap ahead has to do with trying to realize the goal of growth. And so there's several ways to do that. I've kind of broken it out into a few categories here. And these all sort of need to happen together. It's this, we can't just focus on any one thing. We really need to have a rising tide here to raise the ship. And so the first category being engagement. These are ways that we're essentially engaging the end user, the recipe consumer, the person who's trying to figure out what to make for dinner. So several things here. One that we kind of identified a little bit earlier on, and it looks like there's a path to solving this potentially, is getting push notifications. And for me, that means a notification on the lock screen of your phone. We're seeing a disproportionate amount of visits from mobile, which is true across most websites these days, most websites and platforms. And there's some stuff that we haven't even included here, but there is a very near-term goal of helping FoodSocial behave more like an app, where there's an icon that you can put on your home screen, and that would sort of tie into this push notification system. So that's one thing we're working on, is making sure that you as a creator, when you post a new recipe, meal plan, a post, anything really, your followers on the platform will get a notification on their phone, and they can swipe it and go check it out. I think that's probably the biggest goal, at least in my mind, in terms of engaging the end user and making the platform sticky for them. Other features would be expanding the messaging and commenting features on the platform. It's really nice seeing the engagement that's already happening on recipes, especially those of the creators who are bringing more followers to the platform. Another one that looks to be in progress in the near term is a calendar integration for meal plans. So once you check out a meal plan and want to use it on your, on FoodSocial, you can actually send it to your calendar of choice and have the recipes populated on those days. You want to come join me? Come here. Bedtime did not happen as expected tonight, so we have a visitor. The other part that makes it really sticky for the end user is this customized homepage. So getting a curated news feed of the people that you follow on the platform. And I know there's a lot of new faces on this call tonight, but you can already get followers on the platform. You can send people there, they can click the button, and these features that we're rolling out in the near term will help really drive home the reason to follow you on the platform. So those are the types of engagement things that we have in the near term. And of course, we're always open to hearing any additional ideas you have about engaging the end user on the platform. Using our Slack workspace is a great place to join us and informally just sort of send us your thoughts. We're always available there. I kind of view 2023 as the year of community here. So building resources for our community of creators and brands. Are you able to take her somewhere maybe? I can't hear myself think. I don't know if anyone else can hear her. One thing that we're thinking about is creating a portal, like resource sort of page, so that as creators and brands are onboarded, they're able to go to this page, and there's different links for resources on there, whether it's information about the equity proposal or you name it. There's going to be all sorts of things that we can link there. So that would be one item. Another one that we've thought about is launching a podcast that highlights creators and brands on the platform. Through this collaborative series that we've done throughout the year, we've realized that the coolest part of that are the stories about why you've created these recipes. And so that's sort of a front runner in terms of themes for this podcast that we're planning to launch this year. We've already sort of been setting the groundwork for that. So that's, you'll all sort of get an opportunity to be invited onto the podcast as a part of that too. And looking at ways to expand opportunities for creators to collab with one another and with brands too. This community, the larger community of creators and brands is really part of the magic here on FoodSocial. And we only really came up with that collaborative series over the summer. And so this is sort of like a line item that says, you know, we will all collectively come up with other ways to collab with one another in this year. And I'm looking forward to knowing that. So I don't really know what it's going to be, but I'm sure that we'll come up with things there. And then this third part, utility, this is really how we as creators and brands interact with the platform. One thing right now that seems to be a sticking point is the length of time it takes to load recipes. And so one item that we have in the near term is to streamline the recipe upload process. And one way that we think that can be achieved is by using a script that essentially runs where you put in a URL where the recipe lives, and this script will go and look and try and it'll try to auto populate the recipe on the upload page. So hopefully that brings down the amount of effort and time in loading a recipe. We want to implement an advanced search feature on the front end for the end user too. So being able to search by ingredient, being able to search for creators or products or any number of things. There's really so many different content types on the platform. So being able to integrate multiple dimensions into a search feature would be something that's on our radar here too. And then one thing we'd love to accomplish this year as well is a version 1 of a analytics interface. So being able to access the data of how your recipes are being interacted with, whether it's number of views or things of that nature. Essentially, that work is being done manually by Tony. Poor Tony. He has to run these reports 4 times a year, and it's an incredible amount of work to put those reports together, especially with the degree of accuracy that he does. So, you know, we'd love to give a little bit of development time to having an analytics interface that allows you to access that data without having to manually pull it by our team. And then this last bullet, philanthropy, I'd actually like Pooja to talk to this one because she's the one that brought it up, and it's a really interesting one.
Thank you, Bill. When it comes to philanthropy, you know, with FoodSocial, we are all geared toward doing right by our creator community, our creator brand user community. But what we really started thinking about was like, how can we actually also do good by the community at large? How can we use our platform, our collective reach to really do good, especially in the name of food, as we are FoodSocial, you know, recipe sharing platform. And a couple of ideas that I had were doing things like either, you know, virtual, as we continue to grow, doing something like a virtual drive or a virtual fundraising event. I think something that could be more near term would be having a social media event, if you will, where we, or a program where we encourage people to go through their pantries and pull out just canned goods that we all have, canned goods that end up expiring because we don't use them. And so instead of waiting for them to expire, just cleaning out your pantry and donating them to your local food shelter. I think that could be a great way to encourage people to give back to their own communities instead of choosing an umbrella organization, because then everyone is helping their own community and feeling part of their own community. So we would love to just, if any of you are interested in forming a committee with me or with each other on coming up with some sort of philanthropy for FoodSocial, you can message me on Slack after this and we can put something together. We can put together a group. And I think that would just be a great way for us to use FoodSocial to do more good in the world. Are there any questions about anything that Bill spoke about, or feedback, comments?
The only thing I was going to say is that for all of you, if you do have ideas, we always want ideas. So the roadmap is something we're developing and try to ask for feedback on. But at the same time, you know, any ideas are really welcome and on Slack. And the whole point is to have everyone engaged in driving FoodSocial. So please share them with you at some point.
We also have a daily team call every day at noon Eastern, and you all are always welcome on those calls. If you have input, if you want to brainstorm with us, if you want to know what we're up to, you're always welcome to join the team for a day. The team includes you too. So now Haley Lucero is going to lead just kind of an open forum. If, you know, we can have an open discussion about the things we've talked about, just seek some feedback and just chat a little bit.
Yes. Whoa. I've had a cold for a couple weeks and apparently my voice didn't want to work just there. But just open it up to everyone to start to see questions, comments, ideas about anything.
I would love if anyone has, and this is all ideas are good ideas, or no ideas are bad ideas. Maybe that's a better way to put it. But Bill mentioned that bullet point on, I'm going to stop sharing my screen so we can see each other, on expanded opportunities for creator collaboration. We have our collaborative series, and that's been going really well, and it's been a lot of fun. What are other ways that as creators, you would like to work with each other or with brands? What are things that we can facilitate that would serve you as creators in terms of working together?
And while you think about that for a second, one way that is really helpful to both creators, brands, and FoodSocial is collaborating on Instagram. So, and we've mentioned this before, just keeping in mind, like if you're posting a recipe that is on FoodSocial on your Instagram or Reel or anything else, just don't forget that you can always click the collaborate button with us. And we love sharing those with our community, and we try to do the same back with your community, just so we can keep growing FoodSocial and each other's communities all at the same time.
I'll give you some time to marinate on that, because I know it's a lot to like put you on the spot in this exact moment. Kind of reminds me when someone like asks you your favorite movie and suddenly you've forgotten all movies.
Am I unmuted now?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I just moved up where it's not as noisy, just so I can chime in for a minute here. Because I don't want to be super distracting. I just want to say that as I expressed before, that seeing this grow is so much fun, and the sense of social food like it used to be is exciting, and seeing everyone that's joining. And I've shared this with Penny, but it's given me back what I was lacking, because Instagram has just gotten to be such a, who knows, our hands are not on the wheel, and it's just kind of regrouped and made it fun again, if that makes sense. And everyone on the team is so thoughtful and open to suggestions, and it's just a breath of fresh air that I needed last year, because I was ready to just, it just the struggle was too much. So anyways, I just wanted to, before it got super, super loud in here, step back so I could just express my thanks to the team and the roadmap for what is to come and the thought that's behind it. And it's just refreshing. It's been such a couple dark years for so many and all of us, and it's just awesome. That's all I wanted to say, that I appreciate being here and all the family that this is turning into for me. And that's just, it's what I needed. So thank you to everyone for doing all what you do. So
Thank you, Michelle. We feel the same way about you.
now, hopefully, Haley, can you mute me again? Okay.
Katie, do you have something? You're unmuted, so I was just making sure.
I was just gonna quickly jump in. I had a couple ideas pop up, and especially in terms of like philanthropy events that we could do. I really like Pooja's idea of doing like local, of just like everyone committing to emptying out things they're not using in their pantries and donating to local shelters or local food drives or food banks. I think that could be a really great way for everyone to reach their local communities, but it may be, I don't know how we could incorporate a brand into that. But I don't know, but like maybe a certain brand would want to fundraise for how many cans people donate within their communities. And we could do like a social media thing on it where there's like a reel and everyone does a shot of all the cans they're donating or something, to where it could be a movement also pushed on Instagram. Or I also know there's a lot, So I'm not super into, I like being environmentally friendly, but I don't have a ton of knowledge on like the best things to do. But I know seasonal eating is good, of eating like seasonal vegetables and fruits, to where I think if that's something we're interested in doing as creators, we could each create like a recipe with using like a seasonal item during spring or something like that throughout the year. We could all commit to that, and we could all post on social media and be like, hey, we're doing this, everyone else should do it. And I know there are certain brands out there that may back that and want to help out. Or along that same train of thought, I also thought of the brand Imperfect Foods, because they like eliminating food waste, to where I don't know if they would want to sponsor something, but even if all creators wanted to do like a zero waste food recipe, and we used Imperfect Foods boxes of groceries where they give you like weird looking sweet potatoes and produce that wouldn't make it onto the shelves in grocery stores. But those were some quick ideas that came to mind. I haven't fully developed them, but I thought I'd share.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. And I really hope that you're on the committee for this, because we need your brain.
I'd love to.
Yeah, we so appreciate the input, because that helps. Even just Pooja and I trying to brainstorm all the social media stuff, that brings up just a lot more possibilities that we can use Instagram for, and our own community over here at FoodSocial to do a lot of good. So thanks for that, Kitty. Lisa, I think you had your hand up.
Yeah, so I'm actually on the phone with Vic because she wasn't able to attend. So we were just like listening together, and she just had a question about mostly like the collaborators. So we were curious to know if we were potentially be able to kind of partner with the brands that are already onboarded or like affiliated with FoodSocial. So like potentially receiving like product or like some type of PR package. So at least it would kind of entice us to like share different things with our followers, for them to like learn more about like new brands that they wouldn't know about, that type of thing.
Yeah, that's a great question. We do talk to our brands about that. And if there is a brand that you're interested in working with, you can always let us know, and we can serve as liaisons for you and the brands. We reach out to our brands, especially if they have like a new product launch or something, and we ask them like, do you want to send products to our creators? And then we'll reach out to creators to see if they want to receive product from our brands. But again, if there's a specific brand that you're interested in working with or receiving product from, let us know, and we can work on facilitating that for you.
Oh, okay, cool. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I know a lot of brands are looking for creators. When we were just talking to Mesa DeVita, Kirsten, and she was like, it's so hard to reach people on Instagram just because of the way it is now, that it's not even necessarily fun to reach out to creators like that anymore. So this gives brands and creators such a great space to find each other, I think. So thanks, Lisa and Vic on the phone. Dee, you had your hand up.
Yeah, so my idea is kind of marrying together both the philanthropy and the collaboration. And I was wondering if we could do something like a cooking class. Maybe a couple of us can get together and do a cooking class and have a nominal fee for it, and whatever you raise from that would go towards a cause. And we could do a series of cooking classes, right? And I think a lot of people are interested in something like that, especially if it's for philanthropy. I think a lot of people might join. I don't know, that's just my assumption. And it doesn't have to be a cooking class. It could also be a workshop, like the idea of reducing food wastage. Pooja, I know we already talked about it as well, and it was just brought up as well. So what are the different methods of reducing food wastage while you're cooking on a daily basis, right? Like save the scraps and put it in the freezer and then make stock from it. So we could kind of demonstrate that. A few different people could demonstrate different things. So it could be like a workshop, or it could be recipes, which would then potentially raise some funds for a cause.
I love that idea. I love like incorporating, providing our own knowledge and kind of bringing people together and using that to raise money. Dee, I hope you join the group as well.
Sure. Yeah.
Does anyone else have ideas? Brainstorm, it doesn't even have to be an idea, but something you want to brainstorm, questions.
One additional quick question, and Haley, when we were kind of working on the meal plan, I remember during Diwali, then I was having trouble creating the meal plan. So I was just wondering, is that something that's been resolved? Because I would like to start creating more meal plans, but it was giving me trouble. And was that a one-time thing, or has been resolved?
It should be. We can double check as a team. I think yours, it was creating a lot of different pictures
Yeah.
all at
Yeah.
once. And I think that is resolved now. I haven't
Awesome.
seen it in a long time. So I
Bill
think it's
confirmed in the
resolved.
chat.
Yeah. So let me, but yeah, test it out and then see and let us know if it's still doing that for you specifically.
Okay.
But other than it should be, we had that worked on. So it
Right.
should be resolved.
Yeah, I don't want to be creating a meal plan and have 100 copies of that.
Yes, totally.
We need a class on meal planning. I have trouble trying to create meal plans too. It takes me forever.
Yeah, we can definitely, like Haley or I would be happy to host like a meal planning masterclass. And I think that you all, Penny and Michelle, you were interested in like a post masterclass as well. And so
Yes.
we can either combine those or we can separate those if it's too much information at once, because I know that can get overwhelming, but
And
we can.
oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say on the philanthropy, I was thinking something that's always been in the back of my mind since I've joined FoodSocial is how we can get people outside of our community to come in to, like, you know, when we were opening up our collaborations and stuff, and it was just us on the call. We need to come up with a way that we can draw outside people in. Like I've tried to entice like some of my followers on FoodSocial, maybe reaching out to them and saying, hey, we're going to do a call. Why don't you join in? Why don't you hop on the call? Or, you know, any thoughts on how to like draw people in?
That's a good point, Penny. That's something that we've talked about a lot as a group or as a team as well, just how to kind of mobilize our communities. And we see the numbers on FoodSocial itself, like people are showing up for the content on the website. But when it comes to like active participation, as we've discussed, people tend to not. And this isn't exactly what you were saying, but I really liked what Katie said about if we do some sort of canned food drive, like having people take pictures on social media and tag us, and even tag you all, like if you speak to your communities about it and they're tagging you and FoodSocial. I think among all of our creators, we have a collective audience of what is it, like 8 million? That could be a huge impact. And so I loved Katie's idea of just like that simple act of tagging could bring people in.
Yeah, and making sure that we capitalize on the people that are already coming too. That the stickiness of the features we're trying to implement this year is one thing that really is going to help there. You know, getting to the lock screen notification on people's phones is probably singularly the biggest factor for bringing people back. You know, once you follow somebody on the platform and you get those notifications, that's a pretty big deal. So trying to make an honest attempt at solving that this year is really going to help, because you know, everyone on this call has a great audience that wants to get their recipes, and other platforms are standing in the way of that. And we intend to do the opposite. We intend to make it easier for you to reach your audience and your followers. That's the way it should be. And so that's one of the things we're trying to achieve this year, is to make sure that, you know, these audiences that we have are yours. They're captured and you have access to them. ultimately the people that follow you for a reason. So let's make sure that they get the recipes you're creating.
Except a lot of them have not been happy that I'm not sharing my little recipe cards as much. Oh my God, the amount of DMs I've gotten because I've incorporated Tap Bio and, you know, linking FoodSocial to the recipe rather than putting the little recipe card up right next to my picture. I'm getting a lot of flack, a lot of heat.
Well,
But it benefits you ultimately, you know, to have people go to
Well-
your FoodSocial page.
Right, and that's what I'm
Well-
telling them, you know, I'm basically doing this for you for free and I'm not making any
Yeah.
money. And I blame it on Instagram. I said, you know, Instagram wants reels and the only way to get the attach a recipe to a reel is through a link. So,
Yeah. And Penny, you know what? It is free. And if they, I mean, it's free. If they don't want to tap one more thing, that's just too bad. I mean, they need to get over it and hopefully they will.
exactly.
I don't know.
have you tried telling your followers to just get over it?
Not in so many words.
Oh, I'm not saying I
Or I
recommend.
should say in different words.
Penny,
I
showed you.
didn't mean just like that. I just mean,
Penny, I will say I haven't gone through all the royalty reports, but whatever you're doing is driving a lot of people to FoodSocial. So it is working. So
Oh, good. That's great.
Penny, I showed you one emoji that it just takes one emoji to say,
Yeah.
to send them over. But yeah, we just have a few minutes left. And one last thing that us as a FoodSocial team talked about is and would be a great goal for 2023 is if any of our creators or brands have any access to publications or anything like that we could get more viewers and a larger FoodSocial out to a larger audience. That would be a huge goal for 2023 if you can think of any or know of anyone that would have access to that. That's kind of a piece of bringing in another piece of not only creators and brands, but something to help us grow as a community as well. So something to think on.
That's a
Publications.
great idea. Sorry, I don't know who.
Oh,
did I-
go for it. Go for it, Penny. Sorry.
What about local grocery stores? Like I know our local grocery stores here put out free magazines. Whole Foods does it. You know, they put out those free flyers that you can grab at the end when you pay for your groceries. It's a little magazine about what's available at the store and everything, and it's filled with recipes and stuff. I wonder if we can get into any of those.
Grocery stores in general are a really interesting population to me because, you know, moving forward, a lot of these grocery stores are going to need to cope with the growing reality that people are buying their goods online. Consumers are now more comfortable with it. And to be able to be a part of FoodSocial where you can do one-click shopping, it is really interesting to me. And I think connections with larger national level chains would be a great thing to pursue. It's a natural fit.
Yeah.
I was just gonna, well, I have two things. I was quickly gonna ask by publications if you meant like in paper, like in newspapers, or like on other blogs or like other platforms sort of thing.
Yes.
Yeah, all the above.
All, yeah.
I'm currently at school right now. I go to university and there's tons of like all clubs you can imagine, but there's a food blogging club called Spoon University that does public, like it's basically a collective food blog among college students, and they have chapters in different universities. And I may join this semester, so maybe that's a way, but this is completely premature, so I don't know yet, but that might be a whole nother audience that we could tap into. But then secondly, as we were talking about grocery stores, another brand that may be fun to work with in terms of like the one-click shopping for a recipe would be Instacart. If there's a way to somehow be like, hey, if you use Instacart when you're shopping for this recipe, you get 10% off, or I don't know. I'm not super familiar with how brand deals work, but that may be an interesting brand to work with FoodSocial.
Yeah, Instacart is definitely on our radar for exactly that reason. We haven't necessarily made inroads with them yet, but that's certainly on our radar for 2023 is to offer more one-click shopping options on.
Is
Thank you
there,
all. Oh, go ahead.
is me?
Mhm.
Is there, are we on Reddit? Is FoodSocial, is there a Reddit thing over there? I mean, that's a hot place. I don't even know it that well, but I know it's there. I don't know.
We are not on Reddit. I'm not super familiar with Reddit. Bill, are you?
Not really. If we're on Reddit, it wasn't our own doing.
Okay, well, I'll have McKenna check it out because she is over there a lot, and maybe because she's a millennial, she's just in there. And anyways, but if she ever is looking for something, she always looks to Reddit for a lot of things I would never think of. So anyways, I'll have her look and see what's over there. I don't know.
That's a
What
great
about
idea.
what about on Pinterest? Is there anything that we can do there? I just looked at, there is FoodSocial, we have a Pinterest page, but nothing really is on there.
We do have a Pinterest page. It's just there are a lot of social media accounts and we're a small team. And so sometimes it's hard to manage all of them. If any of you are Pinterest savvy and would like to help us manage the FoodSocial Pinterest account, we would love that. And that would also be a way to earn community points in terms of contribution. So if any of you feel particularly Pinterest savvy and want to help us grow our Pinterest, that could be huge because I know a lot of creators get really big from Pinterest alone.
I think I had talked to you about that and I was in a kind of a changing position and got a new job and school and stuff, but now I'm kind of situated in my job and my school routine and stuff. So I can start doing some Pinterest stuff for FoodSocial too.
Awesome. Maybe we can schedule a call just to explore that.
Okay. And then I also need to talk to my boss tomorrow. I have a meeting with her and I'll talk to her because I know she really wanted to get some kind of thing going on with you guys. And her focus for her practice this year is growth. And she's trying to make it easier for her patients to follow the meal plans and stuff. So I think she'd really be gung-ho to set up a meeting with y'all too.
Sounds great. We're
Awesome.
all for that. Thank you, Alicia.
Yeah, the more we can all do things like that help drive growth this year that's one of the best things you can do as part of FoodSocial. If there are brands that you know or other creators that you like working with, bringing them into the FoodSocial community is a great way to help us drive that goal of growth in 2023.
Well, we don't want to take up any more of your time. It's been a little over an hour, but it has been such a joy to connect with all of you and just reflect on this past year and think about what we have moving forward and all the exciting changes that are happening in 2023. Thank you for just adding such thoughtful insight to our discussion today and giving us so much to go on. And again, please message me on Slack if you want to be part of the philanthropy committee and we can get started on that. But have a wonderful night and thanks again for being here and Happy New Year.